Do you remember that he told this little boy 3 stories?
Yeah.
How many stories have we done?
2.
2. Are you curious what the 3rd one is?
Yeah.
So today we're actually doing this 3rd story. So we did a timeline lesson, you remember? Silas and Matilda did that with me. Do you remember at very, very end, what do you see? Very end, a human being, right? And also yesterday, what did we do outside? We did a long black strip lesson. There's a super, super short red strip at the end. What does that present? Adriana?
How long humans have lived?
How long human beings have been on Earth compared to how old the Earth was, right? So we really haven't been here for that long. So just close your eyes and think about the timeline that we did. At the beginning of the timeline, do we have any animals, or we just have those little specks? And then they got bigger and bigger. They all lived in water, right? And some of them started forming shells, and some of them like growing bones. Some of them decided to maybe form a spinal cord. And do you remember some plants and animals decided to live on land because they just wanted to be adventurous and figure out what's up there, right? And some plants lived on the earth and they started to grow fruits and other things, right? And animals, they give birth to young babies, and so they can have more animals, right? So human beings could only come up to the earth when the environment was ready for them. Just imagine there should be plants and foods for them to eat, right? And also maybe imagine underground there could be like minerals for them to discover later so they can use. So human beings can only show up in that kind of situation. Now I have something underneath here that's going to help us to do this lesson. Okay, so at the very, very beginning, imagine there were a lot of what? Like cave lions or bears, right? They have their sharp claws and teeth. What do they use their claws for? They can hunt, right? They can hunt for food. And what do they use their teeth for?
Eating.
They can still hunt for food and eat, right? And imagine, like, bears are really tree climbers, right? They can even use their claws and climb trees. But early human beings didn't have any of these. They didn't have claws to help them to, like, climb trees, run away from other things. They do not have teeth to just bite into animals and hunt for them. It's just really hard for them. And also, remember, there were plants on land too, right? And they would have fruits, but they didn't know what fruits to eat. They didn't know what kind of fruits were like right for them to eat, what kind of fruits are actually poisonous. It was very hard for them, right? So let's see. Let's look at about some animals. What are these animals here? Lions, right? So they were born with kind of knowledge, actually. They were born with sharp teeth and claws and know that they need to eat meat. Have you ever seen a lion that would eat grass and enjoy it? No. And they were born like that. And also, what are these?
Moose.
Deer. Moose is kind of deer, right? What do they eat? They eat grass, right? And sometimes maybe apples or fruits. They would never eat meat. Even if you teach them, hey, you need to eat meat, they wouldn't, right? They were born with that kind of knowledge. And also, they were born in a certain kind of area. They were adapted to a certain environment. Like this one. Lions, you will always find lions in grasslands, right? That's where they would like to live. And that's where they can live better. How about deer? Forest, right? Some of them, they're in temperate forests. Some of them, they would live in colder forests, right? Right. But guess what human beings were like? Early human beings, they were not born with all kinds of knowledge. They didn't know what to eat. They didn't know how they were going to hunt. They didn't know where to live. And also, they were born, like, everywhere. They were not just born in a grassland or just not in water or just in temperate forest. So they were everywhere, right? Just like nowadays. Okay, just imagine how they survived if you were a first human being. You don't right? They could survive in certain areas, right? Let's see. Maybe there's some similarities between animals and human beings. Let's see. Animals have fur, right? It's mammals, right? And we have what? And human beings have hair. And mammals, they give birth to live babies, right? We do too. And also, mammals would nurse their babies with milk. We do too, right?
No, I don't.
Human beings do that too, right? We nurse babies with our milk.
Girls do.
Hey, but like what he said, if human beings were so different, guess what? I'm going to show you some difference. There are actually 3 gifts that human beings have that's different from animals, and that's so valuable and important. Let's see the first gift. You know, we human beings actually stand on our feet. Early human beings did that too. We'll talk about this later. Guess what? If you can stand on your feet, what are actually free? Imagine when you see these animals, they have to use all 4 to go places. But if you can stay on your feet, what could happen? Your hands would be free, right? So that is the very first gift that human beings have. Our hands. And there's baby hands, because babies have hands too, right?
Oh my God, that's
Okay. Imagine if you can stay on your feet, you can use your hand to grab things, right? You can use your hand to maybe play, you can use your hands to make things and maybe make houses. And also imagine if you're a mom and you would have to hold a baby, like you would see that, right? Hold a baby on one hand and the other hand, and she can do something else, maybe grab groceries in the grocery store, right? Because human beings could stand on their feet and have very important hands free. And also, just look at your hands. Maybe you can put your hands up and just look at it. You have a thumb, right? You have actually 2 thumbs, right? They are very, very useful. And you can actually use your thumb to cross and reach every single finger, right? Imagine that just because you have this thumb ability, you can actually pick up super, super tiny stuff just with your thumb and a 1/4 finger. And a super, super tiny stuff, and you can literally clip a little tiny paper clip. And also, you can actually grab on some really, really like huge things, right? For example, you want to climb trees, you can grab on the branches. And also, we have monkey bars outside, and you can actually use your thumb and your hands to go hold on the monkey bars and do all kinds of tricks, right? And also, when you grow older, because you have your hand, you can grab the steering wheel and to drive it to places safely. Hey, imagine, is there any other creatures can actually drive safely to places from places to places? No.
Monkeys.
And also, I found the missing clip. Because of our hand, we can actually use a clip. Have you ever seen any other animals who are able to use clips like that?
Monkeys.
Monkeys, if you would observe monkeys, they do not have exactly the same thumb that we have, so it would be really hard for them to do that.
Yeah, but we are.
Alright, but it's very useful, right? The first gift. So human beings can make things. Okay, the second gift, are you ready? Actually, it's my favorite gift. What's that?
The brain.
It's a larger and a complex brain. What can a brain do for us?
Help us think.
Yeah,
And move
but
their
what can
body.
a complex brain do for early human beings?
Move their body.
They were just wondering. The brains were just helping them to wonder. For example, they were like, what are these things that's falling from sky? It's so wet. They were wondering. And they were like, how come it's sometimes so bright, sometimes it's just so dark? And how come sometimes there's a big sound over there in the sky and it just scares them? They were just wondering. They were wondering and wondering all the time. And guess what? Like what you said, you wonder too, right? You're probably wondering about this thing I was just talking about our hands. You're probably wondering what the next gift is going to be for human beings, right?
That's how I do it.
Well, we'll see. And you're wondering, right? You're using your brain as well. And also, you remember, these animals were suited in certain area, right? But if we were born in different areas, some of them were in Africa, some of early human beings were in Asia, and the environments were all so different. But because of this complex brain, they were able to wonder and think. Imagine what if it's so cold, like they lived maybe around the tundra area in the polar regions. And Jack, do you think it's so cold there, but we don't have fur? And early human beings were just a wonder, how can we keep ourselves warm? We're cold. Guess what they did? They came up with an idea to make clothes to keep them warm. Because they saw that lions and other animals have fur, and they were never cold, right? And they were also like, it's raining and snowing all the time. I do not want that to happen to me. So they were wondering, were trying to figure out what to do. Guess what they did?
Have leather.
They did have like maybe a raincoat, right? And for example, where are they gonna sleep? What if it's raining a whole night? They want to sleep.
Kill bear and
Maybe they make blankets and how about a house?
Yes.
Maybe they came up with the idea to make up shelters so they can actually stay overnight safe, right? And later on, guess what they did? They were like, some people were like, I don't want to go out hunt all the time. Let's just figure out a way. Maybe this animal can just produce things for us all the time. And let's just keep it around our house. So that's probably why they figured they can actually have domestic animals like chickens, ducks, and just give them eggs and meat. Right? They're like, I really want to move all these things to build a house, but I want an easier way. So they use their brain and wonder, what can be easier? And maybe they invented the wheels, so they can actually push. So maybe the wagon or things like that is easier. And also they're like, we need to hunt animals easily, but we don't have claws. What can we do?
nice.
Maybe we can use rocks and other things to make tools. And maybe even after that, right, we want to exchange food or other things. They came up with the money idea, right? So they can exchange food and goods. That was a pretty powerful gift, right? But that's not enough. There's one more. There's one more. Some people remember it from last year?
Yes.
Okay. It is hard, but what does this heart mean?
It means
It means love. We have the ability to love, right? You love your mom, dad, sisters, brothers, maybe your friends. Maybe if you have pets, you really love your pets, right? Yeah. Guess what? Our love is even more powerful. We can love people that we don't even know. For example, like there are people who are hungry, there are children who are hungry somewhere else. We don't know them, but we feel sorry for them, right? And we have extra money and food, we would like to donate them, right? That's love. And also, have you guys heard that there's hurricane down in Texas and Florida? These people were losing their houses and they don't have any shelters and food. And we care about them. We feel sorry for them. And so we donate for them, right? And we help them. So this shows that ability of love. Animals don't have that. Plants don't have that. It's just very special. These are 3 gifts for early human beings. Guess what? So it's been a long time, right? Since early human beings till now. There must be so many stories, right? So there were a lot of early human stories. Maybe there were stories about how they hunt for food. Maybe there were stories about how they figured out what to eat, what to not. Maybe there were stories of how they figured out, oh, there was actually 4 seasons. Maybe they had a story and figuring out, oh, there are actually stars. These stars are actually doing different things, and we can actually see them. And maybe there were stories about how they invented the language. Because you remember at the beginning, they didn't know how to talk. Maybe there will be stories about, hey, how to count so they can keep track of all the sheep they have. There were going to be so many stories. And I remember we read a book before about ghost hand, like cave paintings. Some people would even record the stories on the walls of the caves. And they would even come up with songs and music. And songs and music sometimes carry stories as well. There were just so many stories to tell, but we'll only have one story today. We're going to save all the rest stories later. But let's remember, today's story is about early human beings. They were just like us. They have very powerful hands to help them to make things and work well. And they have smart, larger, complex brain to help them think, figure out ideas, invent things. And they also had the ability to all right, this is the lesson. Thank you for coming to the lesson. Now I'm gonna take 3 questions for comments.